I'm Allison Creed from the University of Melbourne in Australia, and welcome to my work in progress presentation, Through My Eyes, Metaphors of International Student Transition. And I hope you all are enjoying RaAM 2020, the virtual edition. So student transition is a challenge facing all university students and all universities. It is not unique. So in this presentation, I want to show you a novel approach in terms of a learning initiative to tackle this challenge, coupled with the research that I conducted alongside it. So what is transition? Well, transition can be said to occur when an event or non-event results in a change in assumptions about oneself and the world, and that requires a corresponding change in both one's behaviour and in one's relationships. Now, student transition is a significant issue because it impacts student retention, graduate employability, and also students' preparedness. What we do know is that academic and transition success improves when students recognise their capabilities, as well as understand the value and transferability of knowledge, of skills, and their other personal attributes. And transition influences students' feelings of competence, relatedness, and self-efficacy. So as a quick little bit of background, this learning initiative is part of the Academic Introductory Program, or IAP, and it's designed to orientate international university students from developing countries to the faculty and to the whole university, and to prepare them to meet the challenges of university life. So participating in the IAP offers students the opportunity to develop social networks, peer support, and also boost their individual confidence. So my aim was to help students recognise their existing capabilities for transition success, and they encompass emotional, social, and cognitive capabilities. So the workshop was an opportunity to engage students in creativity and learning. I was after a process that did not need to be language-based because of the diversity of languages within this group, but was embodied and interactive within a creative environment that was shared by others. And this was all about experiential learning, where there must be a mixture of content and process, as well as a safe space for students to explore and discover. So the workshop integrated notions of space, focus, sound, rhythm, and heightened language awareness. My aim for that was to enhance awareness of students' capabilities. And again, in experiential learning, students need to be active and immersed in the environment, not simply doing what they think is the required minimum. I wanted them to have an emotional investment in the learning experience, and our aim was to create a safe space for learning, free from excessive judgments, to allow students to experiment and to reflect. It was over 6 hours on one day, and it culminated in small performances. Then in the following week, there was a reflective activity, and that involved peer-to-peer or small group discussions to develop understanding and also to generate feedback. So as I said, 6 hours, it was a one-day workshop, and it involved 148 students from the introductory academic program at the University of Melbourne. Students were both undergraduate and postgraduate, predominantly master's students. We collected audio recordings, transcribed, and then we used MIPFU for the metaphor identification, because it is a basis for proposing metaphorical frames based on source domains. And we used metaphor identification that was inspired by Mulsov's notion of mini narratives that provide focal points for conceptualizing these source domains. What did our students say? Some of the things: transition is development. Transitioning should be a means to improve oneself from your current status. Transition is change because it continues. Change is the important part. So here we can think change as adaptation to a transition involving a movement from, say, a pervasiveness to a boundedness. Transition is skydiving. Once you go through this transition, you will see yourself in a different perspective. So here we might consider Park's proposal of the term psychosocial transition, where you abandon one set of assumptions and you develop a fresh set to enable the individual or yourself to cope with this new alignment. Transition is not the result, but the process. So research suggests that adaptation to transition is a process during which a student or individual moves from being totally preoccupied with the transition to integrating it into their life. Transition is life. It is central, continuous, because everything is in flux. So here we might think about the life cycle, more than an invariant sequence of stages with single predictable outcomes. Our lives are full of surprises. And my data indicates a broader metaphor, transition as a becoming. This metaphor was highlighted in the work of Gale and Parker 2011, and they refer to a third space, this transition as becoming. So it is prevalent, but least understood. So that's a gap I'm starting to investigate now. So thank you for your time. Thank you for coming to the RaAM2020 Harmonoi and our virtual conference. And I hope you found this work in progress of interest. Thank you.